What's up, people? Got that funk here. And a few weeks back, I don't know, 3 or 4 weeks ago, I did a video called Questions for Opponents of Abortion. And the basic premise of all the questions was if abortion was illegal, certain consequences would ensue naturally from that. And if you're against abortion and want to see it made illegal, I asked a series of questions dealing with those consequences. I am disappointed and surprised to have to report that after almost a month, I have had no serious video responses from anyone. I had one video response from a young guy who rode the fence on most of the questions because he is so young, he didn't feel he had much of a position. Plus, he's not even really anti abortion, he's just sort of against late term abortions. I had another response in private message from one of my friends in Greece, and again, she was not really against abortion in total, she was really more had some concerns about late term abortions. And I think you'll find a lot of people share that kind of a position on abortion. However, I finally, while I was away in Amsterdam, I got a response from a fellow called theDOTgeek. Again, it's a really young fellow, okay, who is, in my opinion, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but there's no other way to say it. His video making skills leave much to be desired, and neither of the video responses he left to me actually address the questions that I was asking. And I made a point in the video of saying if you don't address the questions, I'm not going to answer you. But since now he's answered me in private message, I will respond to his answers here. Okay? So theDOTgeek, I'm not going to resort to ad homs. You've asked me not to, and that's not really my style anyway. So I won't be getting into any ad homs here, but neither am I going to play with kid gloves, okay? If you want to be taken seriously, you have to be treated seriously as well, or be prepared to be. So here it comes. My first question that I ask is, would you support laws to make non-procreative sex illegal? And if so, how could such a law be enforced? To which theDOTgeek replied, non-procreated sex is defined as sex that does not result in a pregnancy. Yeah, I know. I don't think there should be any law against what the body does naturally, such as a miscarriage versus what's done by a machine, or that most sexual encounters don't end up in a pregnancy. I'm sorry, is that a yes or a no to the question? Furthermore, what the hell does miscarriages or abortion have to do with that question? It was about sex, not about miscarriages, not about abortion. It was about sex. It's a yes or no question. I am interested in what your answer would be, so if you want to PM it to me, that's fine. Next question. Have you ever had sex without the intention of causing a pregnancy? To which theDOTgeek replied, no, I've never had sex. Fine, I appreciate your honesty, but frankly, mate, that is not going to cut it for me because you dodged the question. Let me put it to you a different way. Since you're a virgin, you won't be able to answer with the experience point of view. I'll just put it to you as a hypothetical. You know, sex, you probably are aware, just from the reputation that sex has, that sex feels particularly good, okay? People enjoy sex a lot, for the most part anyway. And therefore, people have sex for pleasure sometimes. Now, do you ever see yourself in the future when you are sexually active, whether you're married or not, do you ever see yourself as potentially having sex just because it feels good without the intention of causing a baby? Do you or don't you? Would you or wouldn't you? Yes or no? Next question. Do you think abortion is equivalent to murder? To which theDOTgeek replied, well, murder is defined as an unlawful, premeditated killing of a human being by a human being. Well, I'll give you that. That is one of the definitions of murder. And then he goes on to say, I don't know what else cracking a skull of a fetus inside the womb and sucking it out with a vacuum would be called. Wow. Okay, I've got several things to say about this. Okay, first of all, you know, women who seek a termination to their pregnancy early on can usually just take a pill which causes a miscarriage. There's no need for any invasive surgical procedure of any kind in many, many, many abortions. So this idea that you seem to have that all abortions are some kind of surgical procedure where the baby gets hoovered out, that happens, yes, but that's by no means all or even most abortions. So yeah. Right. Next point I want to make about your comment there is you say, I don't know what else cracking the skull of a fetus inside the womb and blah, blah, blah. Okay, I'm going to rewind that actually. Murder is defined as an unlawful premeditated killing of a human being by a human being. And then you follow that sentence with, I don't know what else cracking the skull of a fetus inside the womb, blah, blah, blah. Okay, you refer to it as a fetus, not as a human being. I find that really interesting. Obviously, the fetus is a human fetus, but is a caterpillar a butterfly? Is an acorn an oak tree? No. Okay. Who should be charged with the crime? The woman seeking the abortion or the person who performs it? And the answer is I believe the doctor should be charged with the crime if he commits it. I feel women are often victims with organizations like Planned Parenthood who don't educate them, who don't give them all the facts and adamantly oppose laws like the one proposed in nearly 24 states to make it a law for women to see a sonogram of their child. Research shows that over 80% of those who want to get an abortion will change their mind if they see a sonogram. You say that as if it's a good thing, and I personally see it as a very bad thing. I see that as institutional, what do you call it, emotional blackmail, for one thing. Another thing I want to point out about your answer here is you say Planned Parenthood who don't educate them. So it's up to Planned Parenthood to educate people about procreation. What about parents? What about the individual themselves? Shouldn't they seek the information themselves? And if they go to Planned Parenthood to get the information, that is them seeking the information. Which brings me on to my next point. There are basically three options when a woman finds herself to be pregnant. I mean, there are more, maybe, I don't know, but they can all fall under one of these three options. The woman can either terminate the pregnancy by having an abortion, she can carry to term and give the baby up for adoption, or she can carry to term and give birth to a live baby and keep it. Now, out of those three options, two of them involve being pregnant. The only option that involves not being pregnant anymore is abortion. Just thought that was worth pointing out. Your question to me now, theDOTgeek wants to ask me a question related to this. Do I think women need at least to be educated on options before an abortion? Planned Parenthood claims to provide options, but only 1 out of every 340 are adopted versus aborted. Well, the answer to your question is yes, of course, I think they should be given all the options, whether they go to Planned Parenthood or their local general practitioner doctor. Whoever they go to for professional advice should give them all of the options, should tell them all the risks involved with each option and the whole 9 yards. But at the end here, you say only 1 out of every 340 are adopted versus aborted. Why do you draw the conclusion that that's because they haven't been given proper information? Maybe, just maybe, the other 339 women didn't want to be pregnant. You might want to think about that. My next question is, should the penalty for abortion be the exact same as it is for first-degree murder, since all abortions are premeditated? To which theDOTgeek replied, I'm not an expert on policy, but I believe that the mere fact of it being against the law will prevent many pregnancies. Dude, are you fucking kidding? Like stealing prevents theft, or, laws against stealing prevent theft, or laws against murder prevent murder, or rape prevent rape, etc.? Are you effing kidding me? Do you think that people follow the speed limit because there are signs on the road? Are you kidding? The rest of your answer goes on. I think losing their license as a doctor and a great financial penalty, perhaps 1 to 10,000 or more, would send a clear message. Fine. If they persist after that, 10 years in jail wouldn't be too much. As far as the death penalty, as you hinted, I'm strongly against it as well. Fine. Well, what about if the woman performs the abortion on herself? What then? Should she be fined? I mean, a lot of people get an abortion because they can't afford to have a baby in the first place. And then you're going to add the burden on them by giving them a $10,000 fine? That's real compassionate. Next question. Other people will be involved, obviously, when someone makes the determination to have an abortion. Usually, but not always. The partner will know, whoever got the person pregnant will know. Possibly parents and friends and other family members might know. And I wanted to know who would be considered an accessory if a woman got an abortion if it was illegal. theDOTgeek answered, it depends on a case-by-case basis. If, for instance, the woman did it without a doctor from instructions she found online, I'd like to see that person arrested and the site taken down. Okay, so she's arrested, and then what happens? She gets arrested, and then what? She has to pay the fine, and she could potentially go to jail for 10 years? Is that what you're saying? And also, as opposed to this, pertaining to your thing about the site being taken down, You know what? The internet is worldwide. It's not just for America. And there are different methods of self-induced abortion. There's no such thing as a safe self-induced abortion, but there are definitely some methods that are more dangerous than others. Do you think someone should be punished for finding out or trying to find out what the least dangerous option is? Dude, that's just wrong to me. And you already mentioned that capital punishment is something you're not in favor of, so you wouldn't recommend capital punishment as a potential punishment for abortion. I appreciate your straight answer on that one. Next question, what punishment would be appropriate? And then you say again, depends on the severity. It's a case-by-case basis. The severity. What do you mean the severity? How is one abortion more severe than another abortion? I would love to hear what the hell you're talking about. And, way to dodge the question as well. Okay, now I asked, should every miscarriage be investigated as a potential abortion and be investigated as a potential murder? Because if you think that abortion is murder, then it stands to reason that miscarriages should be investigated as a possible murder. The.Geek answers me by saying, I'm honestly not sure what you're trying to say here. Can you please elaborate? And I know you're not sure because Dana1989 has been trying to explain this to you in the comment section of the video, and you just don't seem to get it. So I'm going to explain it for you right now, buddy. The only way to say a woman is known to be pregnant and abortion is illegal, and a woman is known to be pregnant, and then she's known to no longer be pregnant. She may say to people she's had a miscarriage when in fact she's had an abortion. The only way to know the truth about whether or not she's had a miscarriage would be to have an investigation, which might include an invasive medical examination. It might include other forensic investigation of some kind by the police authorities, all of which is going to cost a lot of money, by the way. Just thought I'd throw that in there. So this is what we're talking about. If abortion was made illegal, it would necessitate all miscarriages to be investigated as potential murders. If you're going to say abortion is murder, the only way to determine whether a miscarriage was natural or not would be to investigate it. Without an investigation, you're just taking people's word for it, right? And if all you're going to do is take people's word for it, well, then everyone's going to say they had a miscarriage when they've had an abortion. So you would have to investigate. You would have to. This is one of the main reasons I'm against making abortion illegal. There are plenty of reasons, but this is one of the big ones for me. Moving right along with the questions here. I asked, would you support forced sterilization for people who seek more than one abortion? I actually think I said more than 2 abortions, to which the.Geek said, no, I wouldn't. Thank you for that direct, straight answer. My next question was, would you personally be prepared to adopt a baby rather than see the baby aborted? To which the.Geek replied, no. And he carries on, but before I get on with the rest of his answer, mate, if you're going to say no to that question, then I'm perfectly entitled to call you a fucking hypocrite. Because frankly, if you personally aren't prepared to pick up the slack, you've got no right to have your opinion. You think other people should do what you think is right, but you're not going to do what you think is right? Fuck that. All right, you carry on to say, in the United States, there are 600,000 couples actively ready to adopt, and with the average birth rate at 2.1 per couple, I think it's safe to say that for the most part, these couples, who in most cases couldn't get pregnant themselves, would adopt 2 children, creating 1,200,000 adoption spots versus the 40,000 currently up for adoption on the average year in the U.S. Okay. Well, I'm going to throw away the 1.2 million because that's pure speculation on your part and deal with the 600,000. And I'm going to assume, I haven't looked it up, but I'm going to assume that your number of 600,000 is accurate. That there are 600,000 couples in America right now seeking to adopt a baby. Well, since 1975, I think, and possibly earlier than that, there has never been less than 600,000 abortions in the United States. Legal abortions. So that's going to lead to a lot of kids who can't get adopted parents. And this 600,000 number that you're talking about as well, a lot of those won't want to adopt another child. A lot of them, probably the majority of them, I would have thought. But it's speculation either way. Suffice to say that once all those people have a baby, do you really think there's going to be another 600,000 the following year of completely new people to adopt? And even so, 600,000 is not enough. We need, anywhere between 800,000 and 1.5 million people to want to adopt every single year if we're going to make abortion illegal and force women to carry a baby to term against their will. Um, which brings me on to my next question. Uh, I ask, would you personally support the baby after it was put in full-time orphanage? To which you want to dodge the question by saying, as you've shown just a minute ago, it's very likely that all those babies get adopted. As I've just explained to you, no, it's fucking not. It's very likely that tens of thousands of babies won't get adopted. Tens of thousands, sometimes hundreds of thousands. That's a city, a small city every year being put into orphanages. That's going to cost a lot of money. Are you prepared to spend or not? You say that um, it would add a few pennies per person in U.S. taxes, um, which was nothing considering that most people spend more than $3 a day on a cup of Starbucks. Well, I think you'll find that people are already bitching about having to pay for other people's abortions. I think they might bitch a little bit louder if they had to pay to, uh, raise people in an orphanage for 18 years of their life. Anyway, moving along, last question here. Would you be prepared to have your taxes personally raised to pay for the extra prison space that would be needed for all of the practitioners of abortion, the women seeking abortion, and their accessories? We're talking about an awful lot of jail space here, dude. And you say to me, I'd love to know your educated guess on how much this is going to cost. As I've said before, I'm sure the majority of doctors would stop this practice, and those that lose their license would make it hard for them to get supplies or whatnot to continue. Wow. Um, you need to watch the movie Vera Drake, by the way. Vera Drake. Write it down. Look it up. It'll do you some good. Anyway, yeah. As regards your contention here, I love the way you dodge the question. Would you or would you not be prepared to pay extra taxes for the prisons? I don't have an educated guess because there's no way to know how many women would still get themselves an abortion if abortion was illegal. It might be the same number of women who get abortions with legal abortion, which is 800,000 to a million every year, or or it could be half that number. But even if it's half that number, let's just go with that. Let's say half the people who currently seek legal abortions, half that number will get an illegal abortion. And of those, let's just say a third get incarcerated for it. Okay? So you're talking about 400,000 people. A third of that is like what? 130,000 or something like that, plus or minus. People, 130,000 people per year. That's just the women involved. That doesn't include anybody else, no accessories or anything else, per year getting incarcerated. And according to you, they should be put in jail for up to 10 years. Now, I don't know if you're aware of this, but jails cost a lot of money to build. And most of the jails in most states are already bursting full. Okay? I also don't know if you're aware of this, but keeping someone in jail costs the taxpayer a lot of money. It differs from state to state and from prison to prison, but it never costs less than 25,000 bucks to keep someone in prison for a year. I think that makes the point that we will need more prisons. We will need more taxation to pay for those prisons. Are you prepared to pay for it or not? If not, why the hell not? You're the one who has these views. You're the one who thinks it should be illegal. If you're not prepared to pay for the consequences of your own beliefs, you've got no right for those beliefs. That's my opinion, and I'm very strongly on that one. So, thank you for your response. I'm grateful that you took the time to answer my questions. I truly am. Um, I regret that you haven't really thought these through very well. And if there's anyone out there who is adamantly against abortion and wants abortion to be made illegal, who is willing to answer my questions in the video linked below, then please do so in a video response. I guarantee I will respond to you if you answer my questions, but what I will not do is get dragged into a debate about the rights or wrongs of abortion. As far as I'm concerned, arguments on both sides are well rehearsed to the point of nausea. And most people on both sides of the argument consider themselves to be well intentioned. So, I'm not going to get into arguments about whether abortion is right or wrong. But if you want to talk about these questions that I've been asking, I would encourage that. Please see my video below, though, to make sure you get the questions right, because he didn't get them all quite right here. So I want to thank you all for watching this video. I know it went on for ages. Until next time, may all your ups and downs be ups.